Hey, it's Perry with Outofdarts, and this is the AIT 40MAX Lightning. It is a brushless flywheeler pistol. It's got a lot of cool features, including a firmware update over Wi-Fi. I've got my PC laptop over here. I'll actually be recording the screen so that I can show you how to get the firmware updated. One other thing to note is that as of recording this firmware update tool is only available as a Windows executable file. You may be able to run an emulator or virtual machine to use Linux or Mac, but as of right now, the best and so far only way we've personally been able to do this has been with Windows. Before you do anything, you will need to charge this LiPo battery. It's got a charger right in the box, USB-C. So I do recommend that you use a USB Type A power adapter. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of circuitry in here that prevents it from drawing too much current with a Type C power delivery power adapter. However, just to be on the safe side, I still have a few of the USB Type A ones kicking around, so I'll use one of those. You've got the pins up here. There's even an arrow that points down and some pins down there. There is a multifunction button right there. You saw some lights come up. Now you're going to take your PC and navigate to the Outofdarts website. Currently, we actually have them under our popular products carousel on the front, but if you need to, you can always just type in Lightning and it should show up. As you can see here, we've got a whole bunch of information and talks about the inclusions. We also have a mention of performance and rate of fire using certain firmwares. The earliest feature set that is available on the 9.0.4 firmware is the one that you see here, where it will detect when your mag is empty and it counts down from 10, and it only has a 2-shot burst feature. The performance is usually locked at around 135 FPS. For some people, that may be plenty for what they need, but if you have a want or a need to flash a different firmware, we have them here. So we scroll down and there is a link titled Firmware Upgrade Tool, and that takes us to the Firmware Upgrade Tool Dropbox. If you have Dropbox, you might see some folder trees over here. All you'll need to focus on is the folder marked AIT 40MAX Lightning Firmware Update Tool. We've got 2 files that I'm going to be downloading here. If you want an earlier firmware, we do have the firmware archive, which you can click here and it will show you all the different firmwares we have. Navigating to your downloads folder or wherever you chose to download these files to, you can click the AIT Lightning Upgrade Tool. Sometimes you will get mentioned that Windows has protected your PC because this is technically unsigned code according to Windows. However, if you hit more info, it will tell you AIT Upgrade Tool and you can run anyway. If you're using someone else's computer or have distinct user account on a PC, then you can install for you only. I'm going to install for all users because I am the only user on this PC. There's some agreements that you can read at your own leisure, just mentioning that this software is as is, and you just hit I accept your agreement and hit next. I'd leave this part alone. It just tells you where the files are going to be routed. It's just going to drop them into the program files. Now you can also choose to create a desktop shortcut, and that will make this process easier down the road. So I'm going to select that and hit next and install. Takes no more than a second and it will launch right away. So you hit finish. And this is the firmware upgrade tool. As you can see, we already have a shortcut titled Lightning Upgrade Tool with a nice AIT logo. And if you'd like, you can even right click and pin this to your taskbar down there. Once you have this open, the next step is to navigate to the blaster's Wi-Fi. You can double check that your blaster is still on and go into your computer's Wi-Fi menu, and you want to go to whatever one is marked Lightning. You don't want to connect automatically. Make sure you do not have your caps lock on and type in all lowercase Lightning Tech. Hit enter. The first time you do this, it does take a bit to connect. However, for subsequent flashing of the firmware, it should be much quicker. We are seeing no internet secured. Now we go into your IP address. Once I clicked that, it has already auto-populated the 168.4.2 IP address, which is the standard IP address for this particular blaster. We can now connect to that and allow. This just gives network access to this app so that you can flash your firmware, and we load our latest firmware. That was downloaded into our downloads folder, so we select that, and now we hit upgrade. There's a flashing light as it's upgrading. You should hear a click of the pusher motor resetting when it's done, and there should be no lights. We have now officially upgraded the firmware to 9.061. We can now safely disconnect from the Wi-Fi. Now it will reset to 0. If we use the multifunction button to double tap, it should move to full auto when you put the selector switch in the final position. You can always switch it back into safe and then double tap again, and it will select burst. You can press and hold the trigger for a couple seconds and it will tell you the firmware number. Then you can press and hold just a bit longer and you're now in the selection for your power setting. As of recording this, there are 4 power settings ranging from 80 to 145 FPS, and then press and hold the multifunction button to save that. Now, if I press and hold past the firmware, you can see it saved the setting. D1 is the lowest setting, and so I'll just test that out. Press and hold that multifunction button to turn it off, and I always like to put in the battery upside down so it does not vampire drain while stored. That's about all there is to updating the firmware. This is a really fascinating little blaster, and I just love it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Orders at Outofdarts. Until next time.